On today's Domain Sherpa review panel, we discuss some great runway domains for like when you're just trying to start up and build up some speed. We also discuss Shane Cultra had not only his first six-figure domain sale ever, but he had two six-figure domain sales in the same day. Enjoy the show. Hey y'all, welcome to, well, it's not a Sherpa South version, but we got some Southern boys here. I'm Tess Diaz, executive producer of DomainSherpa.com, and today I'm so happy that Woody Harrelson is back. How you doing, Shane?
I'm doing fine, Sam.
Oh, I get to be Sam. Let me go get a beer.
That's the only character I knew that Woody Harrelson. I can't remember what else he did.
I didn't even follow that reference.
Yeah, that was Cheers. That's where you got to start.
Oh.
All right. Well, we are so happy you're back, Shane. Thank you.
He's referencing Cheers. You know why? Because he's old.
Yeah, that is true.
Burn. Well, then how come I got the joke? Oh, because I'm from Boston.
That's right.
It's perfect because it looks like he's in a bar too. So
Yeah, that is true.
Right. You know what?
Coffee
It's
shop.
your alter ego, Shane, because Shane always comes on the show with the staircase in the background. But hey, this pandemic has changed a lot of things, and you now have a studio set up downstairs.
Yeah. When you're an empty nester, there's a lot of rooms that are empty in the house. So.
I look forward to that someday. Braden, our old and faithful friend, how you doing?
Yo, all good. I'm set up in the dining room.
You've been on the show like 3 times in the past 6 weeks. Thank you so much.
Right, so I have nothing new to report.
You totally do. You always bring a lot to the table. And Jason Sheppard, one of my favorite new friends in the industry, but this is your first time not on Domain Sherpa, but your first time on a panel, yes?
yes, absolutely. I'm thrilled to be here. I got 3 of my favorite people in the industry that I get to share my first time with, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think this is a great personality matchup. We'll have a good time.
The voice is great too. Just a slight draw. Just a slight Carolina draw. It's perfect.
Yeah.
There's a story behind that though. I grew up like in 5th grade. I moved to Raleigh from the mountains, and I came down with the thickest accent, and they teased me mercilessly, and I lost as much of it as I had to not to get teased. So
Yeah, I moved from Charlotte, from Tuscaloosa to Charlotte to Illinois, and when I got to Illinois, they called me a hick. And then I went back to University of Alabama, and they called me a carpetbagger, and I had no place to go. No matter where I went, they didn't want me.
And that's never changed, has it?
It's never changed. Now I just got a country draw.
Oh, I like a good country doll, and I think most women do. So you boys keep it up and don't let any bunch of guys bully you out of it.
there you go.
Braden, step up your game.
Stay out of this one.
Until we start teasing you about the domains you own. Anyway, let's do a show here, peeps. So we're going to do our 3 segments. It's been a while for some of you. So our first segment, we're going to do the usual, what you bought or sold lately, and discuss the market a little bit. Our second segment, we're going to go over NameJet domains at auction and what you think and recommend for new investors. And then our third segment, we're pretty much just going to shoot the shit. So Shane, since we've missed you and it's been a long time, you're up first. What have you bought or sold lately?
My problem is I talk too much on Twitter, so I've pretty much spilled most of my beans.
You don't have many
honestly,
followers though, do you?
I only have 3 followers, and 2 of them are on the panel, so it's going to be a little tough.
You're welcome.
I have the next show. I'm hoping I have some good stuff that I can share, but since they're both in escrow, I did say on Twitter that I was really fortunate to have 2 6-figure sales on one day last week.
Not bad for a guy walking around in his garden.
Yeah, no, it was, just since I've left here, you would think COVID, it's a tough time, undoubtedly, but in the gardening industry, it seems like everybody's come to their safe space. for their home and buying vegetables. And our year has been incredible. I mean, I just can't believe what a year it's been. I've been outside, I've been safe, it's been really good. And then the domains have gone fine. Then all of a sudden that pops up, and I just, it gets to a point where even I shut up, which is very rare, as Braden knows. I just don't know what to say.
Wait, what? I didn't know that was even possible.
No, that's exactly. I mean, I just shake because I knew one of the sales, I'll say, was with Travis. We went together on a 3letter.com, and he let us know that it got sold, or that we finalized a price, and then I just was really happy, and it was a great day, big sale. And then all of a sudden, Kate Buckley, she's brokered another name for me, says we've got a 6-figure sale on a name as well. And I thought she was joking, because maybe Travis had told her that I had sold the other one, but nope, it's sold. So I'm hoping soon we can talk a little bit more about that. I did buy one name, but I think I announced it, and Jason will probably come up with the price already. But I will say I bought a name, a .net. I bought butterfly.net, which is—
I was bidding on that name.
Yeah, it's a domain hack, but it's Butterfly. And Butterfly plants are by far my best selling plant. I probably do $100,000 in just butterfly plants for the butterflies.
What?
Jason, do you remember that one?
No, fortunately, I have a terrible short-term memory, so you're
Good. Perfect for the show. Just what we're looking for.
You do $100,000
And butterfly, oh yeah. Butterfly weed, Asclepias tuberosa, cone flowers. Oh, easy.
Showing off.
What's he talking about?
Yeah, no, easily. Matter of fact,
is he talking in tongues now? I don't even know what he's saying.
Asclepias
out of all
tuberosa.
the examples or potential things he could be doing, Braden.
Oh yeah, it's a huge. I bought butterfly weed to sell it, but that's just one of the plants. I mean, there's hundreds of varieties of things I can sell. So I thought butterfly.net was a much better.
Did you say you bought a type of weed to sell?
Yeah, butterfly weed. It gets them high.
Just asking for a friend.
Oh, you guys. Okay, so you bought butterfly.net.
Yep.
Braden and Jason, guess the price.
Did you follow the end, Braden? Did you?
Yeah. I mean, I probably am the one that bid it up.
Thank you for the $3,000 boost.
Okay, then Jason gets to guess first.
Yeah, Jason can go.
If I get it right, he's going to think I remembered it, but I honestly don't. But I'm going to say 6,500.
Okay.
$3,000.
Maybe Braden was wasn't the one that bumped me up. I've paid a little over. I think it was like $10,100, but just over $10,000.
What?
Yeah.
And that's because you see the value.
So there's two reasons, and one of this is I think a lesson. It might be, but butterfly.com is an anal leakage pad, and it's not going anywhere. Type in butterfly.com and find out what you find.
Tess, why did you let Shane on this show? Why?
Hey.
You had Shane off. Actually, he was in like a rehab for speaking to humans.
You can't tell me the crowd that's listening to this is not going to type in butterfly.com and say, if he paid $10,000 for the .net, what about the .com? We'll type it in.
I'm just going back to my early days at GoDaddy when the boys were talking. Oh, sorry, GoDaddy. I shouldn't have mentioned you particularly, but the boys were sitting around talking about anal bleaching. And then like, they randomly were like, yeah, but Tessa's never heard of that. And I was like, what are you talking about? And
okay, where it said leaking anal. This is a common American.
Step up, new step up. I might
you step sideways.
Anal bleaching discussions going on in the background, but anal leaking.
We're talking elderly care. I don't know where you were talking about. But if you look at that,
how do we hit the fast forward button?
Yeah, exactly.
For those listening, right? Just fast forward like at least 60 seconds.
So we'll clean it up and say that if you go to the .com, it's probably not going to be sold because I shouldn't say that because they do sell, major companies sell them, but it's in use. They think it's a good, appropriate name for what they're selling. And so that kind of opens up the true butterfly market. And sure, there's .ios and other things, but the net with the butterfly net hackish thing, I thought was pretty good. And it sold for, I don't know, $6,700, $7,000 5 or 6 years ago. So it's been in demand before, but I'm happy with it. And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter anything else.
Well, it does say the value goes up when you know the .com is in use and it's not going to be sellable. And when you know that for a high value .com, it affects.
They're not going to outrank me.
Yeah.
If you type in butterfly plants, I don't think butterfly.com will come up, but I didn't check that.
You have to consider, you always have to consider the .co and the .io, which have kind of equivalent value. Sure. And the IO and the .co are both available, not for hand reg, but I mean, they're for sale.
Yeah.
Okay? So, you know, if somebody, if Shane wants to sell that for 50 grand and somebody can go buy the IO or the co for 5 grand, they're probably going to do that.
Yeah.
Just something to think about.
But can you sell, like your plant that you're selling, can you sell that online?
Oh, absolutely. I already did. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not going to sell the domain. I mean, obviously somebody gave me 50 grand that I would think about it, but it'll be built out. I mean, Travis and I have already talked about it.
So the $100,000 that you already made, was that online or physically?
No, that's mostly, well, I mean, it's mostly for pickup. It is some ordered online, but it's a local pickup. But I could do 100 grand in 1 year just from that name, easy, without much effort at all.
Wow.
I already have the plants. All I have to do is pop them in a box. And the hardest part about shipping plants online is really just making sure all the states, they have different agricultural laws. So you have to make sure what you can send and what permits you need. California being a tough one. So there's a lot of people that sell the seeds to California because the plant has to be inspected in so many different ways. They can't get the licensing. But again, seeds alone, butterfly seeds alone is $1 million business, just the seeds.
So weeds and seeds, that's what you're into. Okay.
Weeds and seeds. Yeah, no, the gardening's the biggest hobby in the world. There's a reason why it's at all-time high.
My wife is totally into it.
Yeah, I was looking at Drew's garden. My goodness, he's got plants everywhere. I mean, when you have to stay at home, what do? You make it look nice. And this year, people made it look nicer than ever. So yeah, I'm fortunate to be in a really good industry. And the only reason I'm sitting here in front of your panel is I bought plant names that allowed me to have brands that only because I bought the plants to start with and I was able to sell them as brands. So I got kind of lucky in that standpoint that plants make beautiful brands.
Yeah, smart and lucky.
And we also have a watermelon farmer in the industry too.
Yeah, it is very true. Yeah, very true.
Okay, Braden, you're up. What'd you buy or sell lately?
Oh, well, I mean, since I was on this show last week, I have not had any sales, unfortunately. Nothing to speak of. Although I am negotiating one right now at 250, and I'm also negotiating another one that I'm asking $1,250,000, and they're already up to 500,000. So we'll see what happens there.
Nice.
So I've got a couple of deals in the works that they both look promising, so that's good. But I guess I purchased a bunch of names. So let me look. How about, okay, I bought .us, which I never buy .us's. I bought Snowball .us because I own snowball.com. So I thought, if somebody reaches out and they've got a really small budget and they don't want to pay me $400,000 for the .com, I can pitch them the .us. So I picked that up. I'll share that. So what do you guys think I paid for it?
You had to pay for that? You go first, Jason.
All right, I'll go. There have actually been some 4-figure wholesale, presumably .us auctions lately. I posted on Twitter the other day, and there was one that I don't remember what they were exactly, but one was 500 something and one was 1,000. So I'm not thinking. I'm thinking you probably are at high 3 figures. So I'm going to say 850.
Yeah, I think Jason's right too, because I think it was a couple weeks back where a bunch of .us one word good.us
Yeah.
expired, and they did pretty well at auction. Snowball is fine. I'd say, I'm gonna say 350, just because I'm not sure the use of it. It's more a protection name for you. So
Brand. Yeah. I mean, I've gotten a lot of interest on snowball.com, and
of course.
I wouldn't have bought this if I didn't have the .com. I picked it up for $69.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
So 69, make it a NameJet purchase then?
It was GoDaddy.
GoDaddy. Just happened to be 69. All right.
So, pretty cheap.
Yeah, that's really
You're lucky I didn't see it. Would have paid more.
Would you bid them up 3,000?
No, probably not 3,000, but I wouldn't let snowball.us go for 69 if I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know when, it just gets by a lot of people sometimes. There's so many auctions every day, right? There's tens of thousands of names shopping every day, and you just can't see them all.
The way that I don't miss those, I'll give a helpful hint, is if you go to expireddomains.net, if you use that tool, just use how many registered and how many other extensions and just sort it by that.
Yeah.
And that'll bring up, it'll bring up a ton of .ws stuff, but if you go down there, Snowball obviously would be taking in hundreds of extensions, so it would pop up near the top on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do that. Not every day, but I sometimes.
Yeah, I do just to pay attention to it and to find the .coms, because sometimes I'll say, that sucks. And then I'll say 112 registrations. Obviously it can't be terrible, because I doubt one person would buy 112 extensions to protect its. So there's probably other use there. That's just why I think other extensions are important.
I think
it's booking.com.
neat that even though the two of you are really at the top of your game in the domain industry, you still both bought domains in your wheelhouse, or that somehow was still your specialty. Like Shane, because you know and can sell and make money in the agricultural area, and Braden, because you have the .com, you're more likely to get extra clients that way. And I think that's a really key takeaway for our audience, especially when you're at introductory level, but even all the way up, remember what makes it a little bit easier for you to get your ROI from it, It
just has to be the exception to the rule, unless you have a wheelhouse of a non-coms that there's Jason does really well. Mark Levine is really good at non-coms. But for me, I think I own maybe 10 non.io .coms in my whole out of 450. That's it. So it just has to be a special one.
Yeah. I've got maybe 2,800 names or something like that, and 90% are .com. Something maybe 85%. But I will pick up really good keyword .nets, and I've had good luck with them, because a good keyword .net, if the .com, if it's even available, it's going to be 350,000 and up. And at .net, I can sell for maybe 35,000, which I've done several times. And so it's a tenth the price and available, right? When a lot of times the .com isn't. Mm-hmm. So when you've got someone that contacts you for the .com and they don't have the budget, then you can kind of pitch this alternative extension, which is why I like .net. But I will pick up, if I've got a good keyword.com, I'll pick up a .org or a .net or in this case .us, which I think is the first time, because it really is because most people don't have much of a budget when they reach out, because they just don't realize, they don't understand this industry. So, they choke when they see the price is hundreds of thousands of dollars. But if you can say, look, for 10 grand or 5 grand or, whatever it is, you could have this alternative, sometimes they do.
It's a runway domain. Let them get going.
Yeah. I'm cautiously long on .us with GoDaddy picking up Newstar and actually being the registry for it and some of the action. But here's the thing, viewers and listeners, don't run out and start registering tons of .us unless you're getting the absolute best and know what you're doing. Because I've got a number of them. I have a number of crappy ones I bought 3 years ago, and I don't know that I've sold any yet. But so I'm cautiously long, but
Yeah. And that Braden's talking about, you don't buy the .net or whatever alternative extension unless the .com is worth 350,000 and up. So this is not, you know, a .com that's 3 words long and then you buy the .net.
Yeah, I'm talking about one word.
Yeah.
One word, premium names.
Yeah, and one valuable word on top of that. Anyway, Jason, what'd you buy or sell lately?
Well, luckily, we got paid out on this today, so I can talk about it. Sold comfyclothing.com.
Ooh.
Comfy clothing.
Comfyclothing.com.
Nice.
Kind of long, but good 2 words. We all want to be comfy, especially right about now, a la pandemic.
Yeah, also known as workwear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have the opposite. Now we have business up top, party down below on the screens.
I say you got $2,750.
And without knowing how you sold it, that makes all the difference. But I will say it's a nice name. And if a person wants to start up, I'll say 4,800. I mean, it could be anywhere in there. But if you got a clothing line, $5,000 is a good start.
Well, I feel good then because we saw this was a partner name. Obviously, most people listening have figured out that I do have some names that are partnered. And this one sold for $59.99, $6,000.
Wow.
Very nice. Where?
It was after Nick fast transfer buy it now sale.
That's good.
We'd had it for a year and we picked it up for $600. So
yeah, it's a great name. I mean, it describes exactly what you're buying. It's what every pajama, loose fit, casual wear is trying to exude in their marketing. So it's a good name.
Yeah, and a perfect 10x.
yeah. So
Wow.
pretty pleased with the sale.
Yeah. All right, let's take a minute here, guys. Tell you about our advertisers for today's show who support us in our mission to educate folks in the domain industry.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at ft.com. That's EFTY, ft.com.
So, time to look at domains going up for sale on NameJet. NameJet sponsors this segment of the review, and we're going to be looking at a handful of names going to auction soon. Who's up first? Braden, I think you are, right?
Yep.
All right.
Okay. The first one is Air Corp, which is not to be confused with Air Corps, which was the Air Force in World War II. Air Corps has an S on the end, and this doesn't. So it's like Air Corporation, I suppose, which might be a good name for an HVAC company. Auto dealership, it seems so generic. I don't even know how that would be used. Honestly, I don't like that one. Of course, it'll probably sell for a lot of money, and then everybody will tell me how wrong I am. It's fine. I can take it. Thekitty.com I like. I like the names, particularly when it's in front of a good generic word, because kitty can be anything, really. Bird's Eye View is good. I'm actually bidding on that one. And then as we drop down, there's some decent brandables, like CyberDog is good, Cyber Sales, and Wind and Solar. I think Wind and Solar is good for a company that's into kind of green technology. Those are my thoughts. I mean, the list doesn't blow me away, but there's some decent brandables in there.
How is, I kind of was just hearing what you said about auto dealership being too kind of generic or whatever, but just thinking of it compared to Jason's comfyclothing.com, how are they different in terms of why?
Because you could have a shop selling comfy clothing, right? Because it's descriptive, versus auto dealership. First of all, it's singular, right? So it's not like you're going to sell auto dealership. That's not kind of a retail kind of D2C kind of term. You might go to a auto dealership. I suppose it could be used for a network of auto dealerships, but again, it's singular. So I just don't, I'm not sure what the use case is. Maybe you guys have a better idea.
There's no personality in that name. When I look at a name, I said it needs to have some personality. There's no personality in that name at all. It's just, bleh, just boring.
I think that's a great way to kind of suss it out for our listeners to see the difference. And the personality too is a good moment to point out. That's why comfy, even though it's probably not a dictionary word, it's the perfect place to use a short word because it sounds comfy and cozy. It connotes what it is. But anyway.
Comfy is a dictionary word. Gullible is not a dictionary. Gullible is not.
You know what? I fell for that when I was like 14, but not anymore, bud. Not anymore.
I thought I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, and right after I fell for that, then my friend told me to look and that it was written in the ceiling, and I also then looked. And, yeah. Anyway, so
14. This was recently, isn't it? Right? Wasn't it?
No, this was when I was 14.
So you say.
Which clearly was very recent. Thank you, Braden. There was a compliment in there, wasn't there?
Okay, sure. Okay.
Oh, that was so like, oh, if I have to compliment, yeah. So he's just mad that I didn't compliment his drawl because he doesn't have one.
No personality in that voice. It's California baseline.
I have to lean on my good looks.
Yeah. That's what the state of California is. Good looking state.
You mentioned cyberdog.com. What would you recommend someone go up to for something like that?
I mean, I could see that retailing probably in the $10,000 range. So I think, for me, it'd have to be $1,000. But again, I've been talking a lot lately about margins getting squeezed. There's a lot more investors in the market. They're paying a lot more, and I don't think retail has quite caught up. And I think especially new investors are happy to take 3 or 4 or 5x where the rest of us are getting 10 because we hold a lot of inventory. Mm-hmm. So if it's $10,000 name and somebody spends $3,500 on it, they'll probably be thrilled if they can sell that for 10 grand in the next 3 years.
Yeah.
For me, it's not enough spread, but for others, it may be. So
appreciate you going through it like that. Yeah. All right, Jason, what do you think of these names?
I mean, I like a number of them. I think the standout is Big Tree. I mean, I can just absolutely see that being a brand for any number of different things. I mean, it's short, impossible to misspell, and just fits right in there. I mean, that's a name I would love to have. I'm not as big on cyber as a modifier as maybe Braden is. Keith DeBoer had mentioned that it was a little bit out of favor, and so those didn't stand out to me. But I did like the kitty because it's got multiple uses. I mean, the kitty is kind of like the pot in poker, or the pooled resources, or you're taking money out of the kitty, and it's also a feline. I think that there's some some multiple uses for that would make it versatile and open up your your potential buyers for that. And then I mean, Big Party, I want to like it, and you'd think if I like Big Tree, I'd like Big Party, but I don't know. I don't see that being a brand, and it's really just kind of plain if you're using it for what it sounds like. So
big parties aren't for everyone.
Well, that's true. And then I think Mini Studio probably has some upside there. I think if one thing that we've seen is people are trying to bring in things to their home that they used to go out of their home to do, and I think setting up mini studios would be would probably be something that might, there might be a market for, and that would probably be something good to have as a domain for that.
Okay, nice.
And Shane is in his mini studio right now.
That's right.
Good
It's
point.
actually a big studio, but it's mini to some, I imagine.
Yeah, and that's right, because as a DJ, I was thinking like recording studio, but it's also got the dual meaning of the like what Shane's in, a mini studio for podcast filming and video filming for the internet. So yeah, I think that's an even better better than I thought at first.
Yeah. All right, I like it. Appreciate your insights. Shane, from your mini studio.
Yeah, so there's a couple names I like on here. I agree with Jason on Big Tree. I think I know the guy that owns Big Trees. He has a big giant tree spade, which is a machine that digs up trees that are 10 inches across and 30 feet tall, and he can move it from one location to another. And it might be Big Trees now, but Big Trees is good if you're actually going to use that and only sell trees. But Big Tree could be anything. I think of like mossy oak in the camo market. Big Tree definitely could be a hunting pattern or hunting. So there's a lot of uses for that. I think it's, again, if you really can't mess up. It's hard to mess up the word tree. I'm sure people can figure it out. Big party, I disagree with Jason. I think it's for the same reason. Buying party supplies and stuff, you can't find anything in the stores hardly. And I think the party supply store is getting killed by Amazon. The days of going and preparing for a party the day before is over. The parties are getting, well, not in this point in time, but in general, people are getting used to shopping online for preparation of things. And again, I hate when people do this, but I have gender reveal party. I hate when people, hey, I've got X because of Y. But I can already see from the traffic from gender reveal party that people are looking for any reason to have a party. Just to announce your baby, now they're having extravagant parties. The party market,
gender reveal parties for a baby. Oh.
Yeah, gender.
Now I understand.
Hey, California is different. California, that's just called Sunday when you announce what you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's a whole nother gender reveal party. And that's also sometimes happens at the big party. At the end of the night, you find out the gender reveal. But that's an Eddie Murphy joke waiting to happen.
Is Eddie going to come on the show, Woody?
No, he had a gender reveal after a big date that didn't go well, if I remember correctly. But another one that I do like is wind and solar. I mean, the solar market, wind energy is more for states like ours. I don't know if every state has wind as much as the plain states. I'm sure California has plenty of it, but wind, we probably have just around me, probably over 1,000 windmills within 20 miles. So we have tons of wind energy. Solar is going to be on every house, undoubtedly. It's going to be every time you park under something, it's going to be a solar panel. So there's no doubt that wind and solar is a huge $1 trillion business. It's a little generic, but I think that pretty much describes what the company is going to do. So that's maybe my favorite on the list. Hemp, same thing. People aren't, most of the corn and beans that we grow are for animals, and animal consumption isn't doing as well as they hoped. And so hemp is being replaced by the farmers who are using hemp to grow, because hemp has become legal to make clothing and all the things that we used to make with hemp before they categorized it and lumped it in with cannabis as far as the illegal one. So hemp's making a huge comeback, and I think Hempline is a decent name to be a part of that. When we buy domain names, we're never sure that name is the one to hit, but we tend to group them together, trying to get a big category, so that if that category does well, we're there. Like I always joke about the honey market. I love honey. Honey is super popular, super natural, growing like crazy. Bees and the environment is a growing trend. So I like to be part of all that. And I think Hempline will get you.
Actually, bees are a diminishing trend.
Well, they are as far as the certain types of honeybees. Yeah, the natural honeybees is not as much as they say it is, but the other honeybees they have mites that are just killing them like crazy. But yeah, it's diminishing in bees, but it is the number of hives is increasing immensely, which is a great thing. We just got to keep the mites out of them so they don't die. The kitty, if I'd have been writing my daily list, I'd have said strip club or poker site would be my two names of what that would be for. Auto dealership as we went too generic. I don't touch that. Cyber, I'll never forget having a big long talk with Adam Strong about the word cyber, as he bought cyber security. And his offers are crazy. Ever since I said, I don't think people use cyber anymore, he's pretty much proven that there are people that use cyber, at least in the word cybersecurity. So Cyber Dog is a cybersecurity name.
And dog sounds secure. That's the thing about pairing the two. Dog sounds secure.
Yeah. So that's a good name. Just knowing what Adam's gotten offers.
Can you say any of?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, I don't know. I think he's at $1 million. I can't put words in his mouth, but I know he wants. I mean, I know that there's been offers for several $100,000. He has no interest in it. I also know what he paid because I looked at the list when it originally sold, and I thought, you're going to pay that for that? And
you thought it was too much?
Oh, because I thought it had the word cyber in it. I go, come on, it's going to have a different name eventually, right? We're not going to use the word cyber security. It's going to have some new name. No, it didn't.
What about Cyber Monday? Like we all go and shop online on Cyber Monday.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, just when you think cyber's antiquated, you start hearing all the terms that you use it in on a regular basis. So again, as I tell everybody, once you're married, you realize you're wrong most of the time. So that goes with domain names as well. Cartoon, I think it's a good play on word with the word cartoon and the fact that it's a motor shop or a site or a mechanic. It just gets crushed in the radio test. So I think it's a little too playful.
And just for our listeners, I'm going to spell that one out. It's car, like C-A-R, and then tune, like get a tune up, TUNE.com. So you're right. I mean, it's adorable and a great play on words, but it's tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough radio. Well, the fact that we had to actually say it on the show because it's an audio or can be an audio show says a problem with the name.
Yeah,
so those are
it could be once you get it spelled out, it's super easy because it sounds like a cartoon and it's fun and memorable. So
yeah, and I think it works in print. I mean, I think once you've seen it, you would remember it, and that's helpful too. I mean,
but what about the plural out there? Cartoons.
And
then also, what about what service are you going to sell online? Most car tuning is.
No, I think it would be a site it's going to be a brick and mortar place. Car mechanics in car don't do very well online unless you're going to buy your own parts. Now, there are a lot of people that take their cars and add, ramp up the horsepower and tune it up. The car tuners that take their little Hondas, Civics, and make them into street rods and those kind of things. But yeah, there's definitely a market for it. But again, it's a little tougher. And tunes, no, it doesn't. You don't tunes your car, I don't think. So it doesn't work.
No, music.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Do people use the word tunes? I know they use cyber. Do they use the word tunes?
It would be plural.
Yeah.
iTunes, so.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I think it's still in use.
I don't even use the word iTunes anymore. I'll be honest with you. I don't. Yeah,
What do you use? Apple Music?
No, I in my family, it's definitely a Spotify family.
No, I mean, but the term.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. It's a really good question.
You said you don't say iTunes, so I
don't use. I guess we just don't use iTunes. We Spotify everything. So I guess that's the reason now that I think about it. Because even like the Garmin watches use Spotify to bring the music instead of iTunes. Because Apple has such a control over everything. Everybody else is using Spotify to deliver their music now because you can download song by song. and then upload them into your watch. And nobody wants to use Apple's proprietary. So I don't know. I never even thought about it until you start mentioning it. I guess it doesn't have to be either or, but I bet you that's probably the truth. I bet people in the music industry probably go one way or another, either go the Spotify or the Apple route. Not that has anything to do with domains, but just a thought.
So I want to talk about drones are everything lately and booming and going nowhere but up, 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 and businesses that are like newly forming because of drone potential.
Can I just jump in with this cartoon thing? I just Googled cartoons and number one is cartoonsstereo.com. Number two is cartoonsonline.com, then cartoons110.com, cartoonsatlanta.com, bradscartoons.com. That's just the first page.
But get rid of the S. What do you get? Or that's the singular and it brings up the plural?
Cartoon, you get like break shops. And
see, now we're back to where we were. Yeah. Once you throw an S, it becomes music. When you take it off, it becomes cartoon up.
Yeah. 3dtuning.com, cartoon up, which is AutoZone. Yeah, it's all tune up and cartooning.
Yeah.
Without the S. With the S, it's not exactly exact match, but with that term in it, Cartoons Online or Brad's Cartoons or Cartoon Stereo. There's a ton of them.
So basically, if somebody's hungry enough and this sells low enough, go hit up a bunch of the cartoons people and hope they don't notice or think about it and keep your price low enough. You're not going to get 10x, but you can get something. And otherwise, if you don't want to do that much work, or there are other options with more reward potential. But
I think Shane is his point is spot on. I think that it's cartoon is about is auto mechanic and cartoons is music, and it's two totally different industries. And there's a lot of cartoons names. I mean, I went through the next couple of pages and it's all cartoons something or something cartoons. But cartoon was correcting to tuning.
And this is why it's great to talk to other people about it. Everybody's got a different perspective, and give it some time, look it up, very good. What do you guys think of in terms of actual prices on Bird's Eye? Wait, now I don't have it in front of me. bird'seyeview.com, especially when we look at the booming drone industry.
I mean, I suppose it could be used for drones. I mean, it's probably going to go up to a few $1,000 wholesale. Could you get $30,000 for it? It's kind of a what is it, compound in a word? Is it 2 words or 3 words? I don't know. We need Kate to answer that question.
It's officially 2 because it's all spelled as, it's 2 words because it's spelled as one. Bird's eye is a word in the dictionary.
Yeah. I mean, whether or not it's a $30,000 name retail, I don't know. It's a little high. I could see it going for 20, maybe 25. So yeah, I think it's going to go up to a few $1,000s, maybe more. Things are going high right now, and overpriced if you ask me. But ask me again, in 5 years, and I'll tell you everything's sold super cheap.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could ask me that for 10 years in a row, and I told you overpriced like every year. But that's not a bad thing. We've talked about that. Is in order to win a domain, you have to overpay. That's how it works.
Yeah.
If you think you got a steal, you probably didn't get a steal. There's not many steals left. There are some, but there's a lot of people that are paying attention.
Is overpaying the new market.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, is setting. And then you also don't know what's behind and why they're buying it. Like I think bartenders the other day, Drew bought, and at 50,000, we thought, wow, that seems expensive. And he thought, for what I'm going to do with it, that's no big deal. So there's a lot of different types of money behind domain purchases and how it's approached. So pretending that they don't know what they're doing or they paid too much, you just worry about yourself and whether it was too much for you. That's what I tell everybody.
You know, at the NamesCon auction, I was bidding on leads.com, and I lost it. I was the the first place loser. I bid up to $430,000, which is definitely not wholesale, right? There's no way I could sell that and make a margin. But I was going to use it, right? So I was the end user. So for me, it was fine. Not fine. It was expensive, but I was willing to do it, right? And the other bidder was also an end user. So, you know, it does depend. So Drew also was not bidding on it as an investment to resell. He's bidding on it to develop it.
And so just to clarify, we're talking about Drew Wash.
Yep.
And how is he going to develop it? Has he shared that? It sounds like he has.
Well, renting out bartenders for private functions is a pretty big business. And I want to say he's going to duplicate his DJs.com model and have a directory site for bartenders, is what I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. Funny thing is, I was bidding on bartenders as well for a buddy of mine who he has the largest chain of bartending schools in the country. And then he has a big staffing service as well, because he's got all these, you know, he's got hundreds and hundreds of bartenders looking for work. So he places them.
The same as Shane knowing butterfly.net is worth the 10 grand he paid in this, whereas you two really didn't see that coming. The same with this one. And especially when a domain, you know, it comes up at auction, you don't always have a lot of time. Wait, he didn't buy that at auction, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't always have the same time to do all this research and intensely know all these details, but very interesting. I would love to have him on the show sometime. All right, did all three of you go over this list? Yes?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, then let's take a moment again and hear from our advertisers.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at FT.com. That's EFTY, FT.com.
Thanks, guys. So, next part is just what's going on in the industry, in your worlds. Jason, you're up first. What's happening?
Well, let's see. Just trying to sell a lot of names, because I'm definitely not
selling a few names.
Yeah, because I'm definitely not DJing these days. And I don't know when I'll be able to get back to DJing. So selling names is is a priority for now. But realistically, you know, my portfolio has ballooned a bit, and with some of the new options available for wholesale and stuff, I'm actively doing that. I mean, I'm listing stuff, every day, or if not every day, a few times a week, on the various platforms, and just trying to, turn some of these into cash. But that's about it, because honestly, I don't get out much. I don't know, a lot of places are opening up or whatever, and then closing back. At no point have I gone out much, and the few times I did, I wasn't the least bit comfortable, and I decided it's not worth it.
Stay home.
Yeah, I'm home.
What about running? You still running?
The knee is, every time I try and start back, the knee gives me trouble. I'm gonna have to go to the doctor, probably get a cortisone shot. But I'm managing to keep the weight loss where it is in the kitchen. And the main thing at this point is the weight, because if I can keep the weight down, or keep it, it's creeping down, but it's just not like it was when I was able to be more active. Then eventually I'll get to a point where it's not impacting the knee as much as it was. But
yeah, it's a simple in-out system. So if you can't exercise, you just can't eat as much.
Right.
But actually, I wish I had the elliptigo. I wish you lived closer. So I have a bike that doesn't put any pressure on the knee. You actually stand up and run on the bike. And so it's running, but you're biking. So look it up. It's an elliptigo. It's not the cheapest thing.
Did. You mentioned that on Twitter. I looked it up. And did you have the full length one? Because they have like a half and then a.
No, I have the full one, and I use it because I mean it is a human body, and it does get broken down if you overdo it. But the elliptigo allows you to get more exercise without any impact. So you can still get. It's the same exact cardiovascular as running, because most biking and swimming is not the same cardiovascular as running, but this allows you to have zero impact on the body, but still get that heart rate up. Now everybody looks at you like a fool. I mean, I could be riding naked backwards on a horse and get as many views as I do on this thing. You look silly, but I don't really
Thanks
care.
for that visual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the ellipticos. I considered buying one at one point.
I love it. And everybody that's injured borrows it from me and loves it.
But see, I have an elliptical at home.
Yeah, but I like to be outside, and I just like being outside. I'm not an indoor guy. And that's the thing is, I haven't been out as far as I don't go to restaurants and go places, but I've been outside talking with human beings, thousands of people a day, but it's always outside in the fresh air or with masks. I mean, I don't feel endangered at all when the bright sun's on me outside at 10 feet away. I mean, I am exposed to a ton of people, but the positive in our town, I just can't believe other towns aren't like this. I can go get a test every day if I want to for free, right at 10 different places. And it only takes 6 or 7 hours. They now just started this week, the saliva test, and only you get 4 hours back. But all I do is put my driver's license on the corner of my car, and I drive up to it, and they hand me a swab, and I hand it back to them, and they let me know that night whether I was positive or not. And everybody in town does it. And we do it. If we pick up our dad, we go get a test. My wife goes in the office, she gets a test. I mean, I got 3 or 4 tests in the last couple of weeks just because I was going to see my parents or, things like that. So I think that's kind of the future if that can happen. I told my mom that in California. She's like, oh, finding a test around here. I go, you can't get a test if you want to in like an hour? Nope. Yeah, that's
it's much more difficult than here in LA.
Yeah.
You have to make an appointment for a couple days out, and it's the results maybe a day or two. Or I had a family member take a test, and he never got the results. He never came in.
Yeah, we have 100,000 tests on campus. The students are going to get one every 3 days. Every student, every 3 days.
Wow! And meanwhile, here in Arizona, we still can't even figure out why wearing a mask is important. Yeah. So I texted Kate for our bird's eye view question. She says it is 2 words. Bird's eye either refers to the founder of Bird's Eye Food, one closed word, or bird '(I), adjective or noun, which is a hyphenated compound word and thus also considered one word.
There you go.
Who saw that coming?
Yeah, I think I'd steer. I had concerns about it with the Bird's Eye Foods in the first place, but understanding that the word itself is hyphenated when it is not the founder makes me like that one even less.
I don't know. I really like that one. And Kate is complaining that you haven't texted her back because you're filming right now.
Not cool, Shane. He lost his attention.
He's texting him back now.
No, when you said that, Kate just texted me, and I was seeing.
So I sent her a screenshot of us talking, and then we had a little conversation about Woody Harrelson. That we said you're extra Woody Harrelson today. Anyway, Braden, what's going on in your world?
Talking about bees. Since we were talking about bees, there are not enough bees, and my wife, who's doing a lot of gardening, growing a lot of vegetables, she is out there hand pollinating because we found out there's not enough bees, and that's why we're not getting as much fruit as we expected. So she started hand pollinating and the fruit is coming.
Yeah.
Green, why didn't you tell us about this? We need to hand pollinate.
How do you
I should have just brought over a hive for you, but it is kind of a drive for me. You need to have rent a hive is what they do.
What do you mean a drive? Aren't you going to bike?
Yeah, it is. I'll lift to go
Illinois
with
to LA?
bees on my tail end. Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. I mean, it's there's a reason that they rent beehives for the orchards. They bring them in on trucks, a semi of bees just to pollinate. That's a living, is people take their bees orchard to orchard to orchard to pollinate during that season because there's not enough natural bees.
Isn't it true purple flowers are their favorite? And if you plant purple flowers in your garden, that will help a lot?
Not necessarily. I mean, they do like clover and things like that, but it's like hummingbird. They say hummingbirds like red, and that seems to actually be true. But what they really like is the bell type flower. They like the ones that hang down and they can, it's easier for them to feed. But I think bees are pretty non-selective because wherever we take the hive is what so if we take it to like a black locust place, they'll eat the black locust and the honey will taste like black locust. I take it over to crab apples, it'll taste like crab apples. So whatever flowers are nearby.
Meanwhile, I realized how funny it is that Lisa Bloom is handling. Just got that.
Oh yeah,
that's her nickname.
Totally into it. I mean, every morning she goes out, she checks her garden, she checks her vegetables. And I mean, our lunch today everything was from the garden. Our dinner last night was like 90% from the garden.
Wow.
Isn't that great to be able to so my wife last night went out and just picked dinner to put in dinner. It's great. Yeah. It's really good. That's my next big venture is I'm going to start a 50-acre berry farm. I've got the land.
Wow.
I'm going to do strawberries, blackberries, and raspberries, and blueberries. So those 4.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it should be awesome. It's right on one of the biggest highways in Illinois. The soil is perfect for it. It's like a sandy soil, which those grow in really well. And there's tons of money in selling the plants to Lisa. So Lisa's going to want a blueberry plant.
She'll pay through the nose. Are you going to do like one of these, like you pick?
So that's the thing is you pretend like you pick, but really what you do is I pick it with a machine and I set up the stand right in front of everything and I charge you to go pick. But everybody buys it in a box. It's pre-sorted by the size of the berry.
You pick for like 10 minutes and then
because everybody eats half the stuff they pick. You know, I only got a pound of blueberries, but you ate 4 pounds there, Bluto. But yeah, no, it'll be mostly just pre-packaged. Like I'm buying 40 pounds of blueberries next week up in Michigan. It's blueberry season, and we just bring back 40 pounds. We put them on the trays and freeze them. Did you know that's how you do it? Do you know how to freeze blueberries? You don't have a clue, do you? You don't even know.
So are you saying most of the blueberries we eat have been frozen and then thawed?
Well, if you get them in the store, they're fresh. But if you want to keep them, you can't take that fresh blueberry and just put it in the freezer, or they'll freeze together in one lump and you'll never get them apart. So if you freeze blueberries for the rest of the season, you have to put them on a big flat tray individual, freeze them, and then put them away, and you can eat them all year. And they taste pretty good. Like in the middle of winter, you grab frozen blueberries. It's like the most sweet treat you can get year round. But they, obviously blueberries are seasonal. So this is the season for that. But I don't know, that's something I've always liked. It's so nice to see the world finding out how great it is to grow your own stuff. Whether you get 4 cucumbers or not, it's not really important on how much you get, just the fact that you know the work and the effort that goes into growing your own stuff and how hard it is to do it without chemicals. It's a pain in the ass to not throw a million chemicals on there.
It is.
So anyway, it's really nice to see this kind of stuff. So there are some positives in this whole pandemic, COVID, that some people are getting back to home and noticing and realizing what's kind of more important, your family and your health. So there's a positive.
And it's neat. Like Jason and I talk every so often, and he started Duolingo for both Spanish and French, and you're over 100 days in now?
Yeah, I think 109, 110 days. I did like the first 2 weeks French, and then but I really wanted to do Spanish too. So I added it instead of just switching. And so, it's been cool. I mean, I probably wouldn't have done it if I wasn't stuck at home, quarantined on stay at home orders. So, you try and make the best of it.
Yeah. And I think this is going to go on longer than any of us want to believe. And if you didn't start 110 days ago, start today, with whatever.
It's so funny. I got friends that are like coming out of this with babies. Like, hold on. Where'd you get the baby? I thought we were only been gone 4 months. But you couldn't really see the first 3 or 4 months of her pregnancy, and all of a sudden she's carrying a baby. And now Jason's next time you see him, he speaks fluent Spanish. That's it's been a long time when these things happen.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Shane, you have anything else going on you want to share?
Nope, that's it. I'm not traveling. There's no Hawaii this year, although you can go to Hawaii. You just have to take a COVID test 3 days before you go. But nope, I'm gonna go see my daughter in a couple of weeks. So she's in New York, and that's ironically one of the safest states now. So
not ironic when you do a good and careful job. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's funny how that works. But yeah, so that's kind of my plans, is to go see my daughter, and we'll just enjoy the year. Like I said, I know it's terrible and all that, but for me, I've thrived in this environment. I like staying at home, and I don't go out to eat very often, and we don't have big parties anyway. So it's been.
But you do have big trees.
I do have big trees. Yeah.
Good job, Braden. Good job.
Yeah.
On that note.
Yeah, and it's been good domains. It's only been 10 years. It just took me 10 years to get one of Braden's sales.
Wait, is this your first 6-figure sale?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
You had 2 of them.
Hold on. So you've never had a 6-figure sale in 10
No, I've never had a 6-figure domain, really.
domains, and you had 2 in one day.
2 in one day. Yeah.
What? We got to give some attention to that.
Well, you can't talk about it now.
There is no attention. I can't talk about it.
Okay, did you always know that these 2 names were 6 figures and you've been holding out? Why is it happening right now?
I can't even tell when I bought the other one because it would give away what it is. But I knew those are 6-figure names. I honestly thought that there were some other names that would sell first. But yeah, I thought that those were 6-figure. And the way the market's going right now, a $20,000 name can be a 6-figure name right now if it's the right name. I mean, a name like Sugar Maple that I've talked about, it's not that special name, but that could be $100,000 brand if you've got a startup that's called Sugar Maple. I mean, it's a pretty distinct. If you need that name, you need that name. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. My portfolio's been fine all along, and I knew it would come. And kudos to Kate. Kate's the kind of person that can tell that story and say why this is important. Now, the name she sold is a pretty solid name, but yeah, I mean, if you do it long enough and you buy good names in this industry, the way domains increase in value, your day will come. You just have to invest in solid domains.
Right.
That's the key. And I've been in it for 10 years, so if I didn't get it right after 10 years, I really messed up, because 10 years ago, there were some good names available for nowhere near what they are now. So.
That's true. Yeah. Just a quick question with the 6-figure domain with Kate Buckley. Is that an outbound sale, or she had a client come in looking for a brand?
No, she reached out. She does what she does best. That's again, this is a promo for Kate. Kate takes only so many names. You're not going to just give Kate a name. She's pretty particular with the name she chooses, but when she chooses it, she understands why someone would have it and can go and find the people that would be best used and say, this would serve you well. It's not going to be cheap, but this would serve you well. And she does an amazing job at that. We talk about being a storyteller, and being a storyteller doesn't mean telling fiction story, but it means that this name can bring your brand to another level, and she can tell them how. And that's what she does super well.
Vision casting, but more practical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she has to have the right name. I mean, she has to have these singular names. But she has a name. I don't know if she'll be able to tell, but she had another 6-figure sale that day. So she had 2 6-figure sales that day, and I had. And the other one was not a name that I thought would go for that much, but she did a great job. So
Was this a couple of weeks ago?
this was last Friday, I think.
So like Friday, July 10th.
Yeah, I think that was right. I know it was going in the weekend.
Kate was actually at my house. She stopped by with Todd, and she had 2 sales that day.
Yeah,
about 2 weeks ago.
yeah, she's doing great, as she should. I mean, it's a good time.
Yeah.
It is a good time.
I tried to have her on the show today, actually, but she couldn't make it. But hopefully in a couple.
Well, that meant one of these 2 fine men would not have been on, and that wouldn't have been great either.
This was a good combo. I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, I liked being on with Jason. Jason, he knows he's one of my favorite people. Yeah.
It's because he runs. You like runners.
No, he didn't know. But it just, I like people that want to be better. That's it. There's nothing more to say. And Jason is always trying to be better at everything he does. And that's who I like to hang out with. That's how I describe it. So if I don't like people that make excuses and people that, or flojo, which means lazy, Jason, that's the lingo next week.
Yeah.
That's lazy in Spanish.
Wow, this is Spanish Sherpa.
I'm not
I gotta jump. You guys want to keep going?
No,
Yeah,
we're
we'll
good.
say goodbye. Yeah.
All right.
See y'all next time. Thanks for
Adios.
coming.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Great seeing you.